dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I'd say it's a good theme for the second decade of the 21st century. Hello, everyone. Huge movie fanatic Nate reporting on this April 29th of the year 2021. Matt Haggerty's already here. He says, yo, you guys may or may not, you probably will notice a difference in the show, the sound quality or the sound in the show this week. It's actually turned out to be a amazing day. Nothing but blue skies. So I have the window open and do the show and sit by the window and try to not miss out on the day that much. What I'll probably do is 2 hours of show and then head out on the bike. But it turned out to be a nicer day than it's supposed to be. Iron Rooster's here. He says, hey, welcome, Matt and Iron Rooster. Turned out to be a nicer day than it was supposed to be. But I think that keeping your word is one of the most important things a person can do. So I said that I was going to go live at 1 p.m. today. So regardless of the amazing weather and blue sky, it's actually kind of windy out, so it's not optimal biking conditions. But I said I was going to be here at 1 p.m. Central, so I'm going to start at 1 p.m. Central. I just moved the recording stuff over to a window and have the window open so I can look outside and enjoy the nice day a little bit instead of cooped up in the windowless studio, which is normally the case. Matt says, why not just go right outside? Well, you've got all kinds of things like being able to see the monitor, mic noise, things like that. I'm more or less outside. Matt says, sit outside the window with the table. Yeah, once again, you've got wind noise as a factor and being able to see the monitor, but it's definitely a good suggestion. Thank you very much. Iron Rooster says, maybe the Europe guys will show. Thanks for keeping your word. Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why. But like I say, it's kind of windy out, which is not optimal biking conditions. So that's one of the reasons why I'm starting at 1 p.m. Central. Hopefully give the guys in the UK and or Europe a chance to stop on by. But yeah, it started out kind of overcast and now it's nothing but blue sky. But like I say, hopefully it won't be the last blue sky day of the year. Matt says, make a overhead tent with PVC pipes and add a few screens. Laugh out loud. That's what I'd do. All right, do it. Do it. I'm too lazy, but I think sitting next to this open window and with the breeze and the sounds of the outdoors coming in and being able to see out the beautiful blue sky and the beautiful day that I'm missing out on is sufficient. Thank you. I see some kind of almost like a hawk thing that just flew up into a branch up there. But you guys might get to hear airplanes, motorcycles, birds, freaking squirrels, whatever today. So it might be an interesting show. So far, it looks like just Matt and Iron Rooster. I guess I can do a little bit of an update on what I was talking about last week. Luckily for all of us blue-ray.com fans, blue-ray.com has been, put back up. Luckily, we were without blue-ray.com for about a week, which it's scary to realize how dependent you are on the internet. It's just like it doesn't make me feel good at all. Like when blue-ray.com went down and it was just like a shock to the system. I mean, it only took a day or two to get used to not going there, but now that it's back, it's just kind of like, God damn it. It's really pathetic how mankind has really been accustomed to really depending on the internet. I mean, even look at right now, this radio show is being broadcast on the internet. You guys are listening to it on the internet. I mean, it's just like even talking about how dependent we are on the internet while on the internet is just like shows how dependent we are on the internet. Looks like Gary Page showed up. He says, "Hi, Nate. Thanks for the early show." You're welcome. It's kind of windy today, so it's not the best biking optimal conditions. But then it also occurred to me, well, if I do a 2-hour show, I can probably, get some biking in after the show today as well. So killed two birds with one stone. Matt says, well, we don't have real stores anymore unless you want to suffocate yourself. Where did stores come from? I wasn't talking about stores, was I? I mean, obviously you guys can say whatever the hell you want, but kind of just a random thought. So there you go. Well, as a matter of fact, before the show started, I had to go get a couple grocery or a couple store items, so I got to participate in that, my weekly bullshit. But the further we get into this horse shit, the more and more I let that old handkerchief just sag. And I was walking through the store today thinking if an employee said something, I could just go like really loudly, just go and point to my ears, and just play deaf, or I could simply reply, I don't know a word. I don't speak a word of English. I don't understand what you're saying. There's all kinds of things you could do. Luckily, I haven't really had any employees really fucking bother me. So Gary Page, once again, thanks for showing up. You're welcome for the early show. Anything anyone wants to talk about? Matt says, you were talking about relying, on internet for stuff. And if you want to rely on stores, most are closing and the rest are, you suffocate it. You got to suffocate yourself to shop there. Okay, I see what you're saying. Thank you. Gary Page says, well, you can avoid the old farts by not biking today. That's true. I'll probably see what things are like after the show and maybe do half of the trip that I did last week. If you heard my show from last week, you guys will know that I went way too far last week and my legs were dead pretty much all the way back. But I might be able to get a half of a ride in today, which would be more than adequate anyway. The sun's supposed to be out for the rest of the day, so if I head out at 3, should be enough time for me to do the half trip today. But yeah, that experience last week just makes me not want to stop because last week I stopped at like one of them picnic tables, kind of a rest area, and it's just like, God damn it, if stopping at a rest area is gonna lead to that kind of annoying interaction, maybe I'll just stop on just a random spot of the trail from now on. Okay, so Matt's got a story for us. He says, I had one employee last winter ask me to put on the thing above my nose, and I just told her, no, this is all bullshit. She ran off real quick after that. Well, good for you. I was fucking pissed though. Yeah, I was at a store which will go unnamed. It was actually a corporate store, of course. Last year, it was one of the first, probably like the first store to actually mandate self-suffocation when they opened. And that's the only place I've actually had an employee, actually in 2 separate occasions, say something. It does make your blood boil. Iron Rooster says, found the Blob DVD and Halloween Media VHS with Anchor Bay box at Goodwill Bookstore. Laugh out loud. Blob DVD. Is that Criterion Blob DVD? What outfit put that out? That Halloween Media VHS is a really good find. I don't know what you mean when you say with Anchor Bay box though. Oh shit! So you've got the media tape, but the box is not the media box. That's a frickin' bummer. Well, it's cool to have the media tape anyway. Matt says it was at Best Buy, and I'm sure you know of them. Yeah, I know of them. I shouldn't have even said that company out loud. Oh well. Matt says, blah blah now has left a real sour taste in my mouth. I don't know if I'll go back. Yeah, that blah blah used to be a place. I hate to admit it. I love to go like in the late '90s, but I don't even since they stopped selling CDs and their movie selection is such a joke. I really stopped going there quite a long time ago. Matt says if I go back, I will be grilling the managers about medical discrimination. Yeah, I love how the mainstream, is all anti-discrimination unless the mainstream is the one discriminating. Then it's okay. Iron Rooster says, yeah, that was a bummer. Probably meaning that he got the media tape inside the crappy case. Oh, okay. He says TriStar for the Blob DVD. So the Blob remake, because I know Criterion put the original on DVD. I've got that. Matt says blah blah. We're the most anal about the suffocation enforcement. They have guys right at the front door grilling you, asking what you're coming to the store for. I love it. Papers, please. We're getting really close to that. Papers, please. Matt says, and he kind of in quotes more or less, I'm coming to shop, you fucking bitch. What the fuck? Papers, please. What is the nature of your business here at blah blah? What's the? I know. Whoever thought that stores would be turning away customers? That's a great practice. Iron Rooster says, I'm glad I really haven't had any confrontations like you guys. Yeah, maybe things are different in Mississippi. Matt says, I don't know, maybe I'm looking around your store and might buy something I like. What the fuck? Laughing my ass off. I don't know if I said that's what Matt said. I'm showing 6 people. One of them is probably me. Welcome, everyone. Huge movie fanatic Nate reporting on a beautiful day, but I'm sitting by a window, so it kind of makes me not so far from the beautiful day. Yes, sir. Yeah, pretty much all the news I really got to talk about is just the, blue-ray.com having been offline for a month, or not a month, seemed like it, a week, and having gone back. I think it went back up on Sunday or something. That's pretty much all the news I've got. I can't really remember for some reason what me and Beth been watching. I showed her the original. I showed her Basket Case. I think it was it last week or the week before? She liked Basket Case, but she thought it was sad, which it is. Basket Case has sad ending. I showed her This Island Earth, I think, this past weekend, which is funny. What I should show her is the Mystery Science Theater version of it next, because I've got the Image Entertainment DVD of that. Austin's here. He says, hey there, have you seen Death Spa? Yeah, I've actually got the Blu-ray of Death Spa. I can remember I first became aware of Death Spa. I don't know, it must have been 1990 or 91 when me and my dad rented Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. So that the trailer for Death Spa was on that VHS, and it always intrigued me, and I never saw it until, I don't know when the hell it was, 2012 or 13 or 14, I blind buyed the Death Spa Blu-ray. That's an interesting movie because it's like, I don't know, it's just got an interesting feel to it. So I really should review Death Spa. I can review the movie and the Blu-ray. Austin says, Killer Workout is another one. Okay. Summerhill Cinema 700's here. He says, good afternoon. Welcome. I'm seeing 7 people, which probably means 6, including me. Welcome, everyone. Down to 6, probably 5, including me. Austin says, I might get the Death Spa Blu-ray. Yeah, it looks great. I've got nothing to compare it to because it's the only version of Death Spa I've seen. But one of my recommendations I've learned the hard way is if you're thinking about getting a Blu-ray, just get it because, so many times I've thought about getting something and then never did, like the Scarecrow's Blu-ray, and then before you know it, it's out of print and it's a lot more expensive. I've had Cut and Run Blu-ray in my cart on, blah blah blah.com. They're also women. Women are like that. There's certain women, like Wonder Woman is a blah 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 woman, I think. But and I just went for it, and I'm like, why don't I just get this thing? It's been in my cart for ages. The Cut and Run Blu-ray. I guess it's got two different versions of the movie, like theatrical and unrated or whatever. I've seen Cut and Run. I got the VHS of Cut and Run. Then I streamed a pretty good, must be a high definition version on Prime. So I just bit the bullet, and I'm like, I better get Cut and Run before it goes out of print. So that's supposed to show up on Monday. Austin says that Death Spa cover is awesome looking. Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that movie. Is the Blu-ray Death Spa cover like newly commissioned art for the Blu-ray release, or is that the poster / cover art from its original days? But yeah, Death Spa is an interesting movie, and as I said, I first became aware of it in 1990 or 91 whenever me and my dad rented the VHS of Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which is something else I should really review one of these days. I've only got a DVD of that. I know it's since come out on Blu-ray, but I don't watch Henry that often. So the Blu-ray or the DVD does fine enough for never watching it. Of course, the Blu-ray would look a lot better when I never watch it, but DVD looks fine for never watching it. Iron Rooster says I revisited the Fulci film. How do you pronounce this? Enigma this past weekend. I enjoyed it more than I remember. It has some hot chicks in it. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah, those Fulci films can have them hot chicks in it and the maggots, or I don't know what they're technically called, mealworms or whatever. That's in the Italian horror movies that they glue on people's faces. Austin says no, it's the poster for Death Spa on the blue. Okay, Austin says Henry is great too, meaning Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. Matt says, be right back. Okay, he's got to go take a dump. I pissed before I started the show, so hopefully I won't have to leave and piss during the show. Something that would be nasty, which I'd probably never do, and kind of funny at the same time, is, do the old Franklin on the hill in the coffee can. I could do that on the show. I'd probably never do that to you guys. That'd be mean. I could piss in the coffee can on live, and then I could go, Franklin. I just lost a listener because of that idea. Okay, I won't do it. Gary Page says, yeah, Henry is a classic. Yeah, I first saw that. I can't remember. I want to say it was 1990. Yeah, me and my dad really took to that movie because of its almost like Last House on the Left-ish kind of realism about it. We really took to that movie. In the theme, like down, 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 down. Down, 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 dee dee. I don't know. I think I'm doing the basic theme. Down, 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 down. Just the theme of Henry. Hein Rooster says, laugh out loud, piss wherever you want, man. Doesn't bother me. Well, maybe that's because you're, never mind. Maybe because you're down there in the South where they're used to just, having I don't know if I can dig myself out of this. I'll just shut up. I was trying to pay you a compliment being in the South where, maybe you guys are more outdoorsy and not opposed to pissing wherever. I was trying to do a compliment. I don't know. It kind of turned out as who knows being what, but Austin says, I was playing Dead Space earlier. Okay, it's a video game then? Iron Rooster says, does Henry got Michael Rooker in it? Yep. Oh, you know what? That reminds me. We did see it in 1990 because then we saw Days of Thunder in the drive-in theater that summer. And me and my dad were like, look, there's Henry because Michael Rooker is in Days of Thunder. So we did see it in 1990. Yep. That's a movie that's got that kind of low budget movie, that 16 millimeter, I think. That's got that same kind of not as gritty as Last House on the Left, but that kind of just raw realism of Last House on the Left. Iron Rooster says, ha 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 ha, me stumbling over my words, trying to pay him a compliment and feeling like I was doing the opposite. PC culture. Iron Rooster says, I know what you mean, Nate. Well, thanks. Yeah, it was like an outdoors, being in the South, you're outdoors and you guys, don't let nothing, pay nothing no mind and just piss anywhere or in anything. Anyway, I'm digging myself into another grave here. I'll shut up. Austin says, Dead Space is a game with 2 sequels. Okay. Yeah, I'm not very much up on more recent video games. I'm more of the older video game variety, but that's okay. I mean, as you get on in years, you kind of leave the new things behind. I always wondered why, like my grandparents, just the most recent clothes they had were like 30 years old. And as I get older and older, I'm starting to understand why. Because you get to a point where you really don't like necessarily anything that's being made anymore because you're so used to the way it used to be. So I'm starting to understand why my grandparents, didn't buy anything for the last 30 or 40 years of their life. And I very much, it's the same thing for me. It's just like I buy less and less as I, age as well. But obviously that it's easier to buy less and less when you don't go to stores anymore. Austin says Dead Space from 2008, so not too recent. Yeah, that's true. Iron Rooster says you don't have to be PC with me, Nate. Okay, good. Well, part of it is courtesy. You guys are nice enough to show up for my show live. I don't want to be insulting people who are kind enough to show up for the show live, I guess. That's another part of it, because I do appreciate the people who show up to listen live. That's really kind of cool. I hope you guys can hear the croaking. Can you hear the croaking? Let me take a drink. Got a little lull in chat, which is fine. That'll happen. That can happen. Summerhill, if you're still listening, have you seen American Ninja 2 yet? Hope you guys heard that. That was like a squirrel doing one of those danger alert sounds to alert the others, or I'm a horny squirrel sound, some kind of sound from a squirrel. I hope we're still live. I haven't seen anything in chat for a couple moments now. Are we still coming through? Testing 1, 2, 3. Haven't been a comment for an unusually long time. Are we still live? Okay, I see something. Iron Rooster says, I opened up my Demonia DVD and found a Suncoast receipt in it from 2001. It was $21 all the way from Washington. I instantly thought of you when I seen the receipt. Oh, because it was from Suncoast? Because I'm like, I don't live in Washington. Okay, Austin says we're live. Gary Page says Yes, still there. Yeah, that was an unusually long lapse in like no comment. So I was concerned. Oh, another thing I don't think I told you guys is because I wanted to do this show this week next to a open window. We're also streaming on the laptop wirelessly. So this is be an interesting test to see how that goes. So that's why I was panicked there, because I'm like the other shows were connected via what's that yellow cable called, Ethernet, and this is a show we're doing Wi-Fi, so that's why I was panicking. Summerhill says, yes, I just watched American Ninja 2 a few days ago. I thought it was fun, but the first one was a bit better. Yeah, see, I agree. I think 2 doesn't really hold a candle compared to the first one. Like, in my opinion, like 2 must have been considerably lower budget than the first one, because they seem to shoot in that one bar. They have like 3 or 4 scenes in that one bar location, and it's like, okay, what do we got? We got like 2 or 3 locations for this whole movie, and we just keep alternating between them. And then that goofy kind of, was it like a kind of an upbeat tropical sound every time there's a bar fight? It seemed like that happened 2 or 3 times, and it just got kind of repetitive, like did it did it did it did it did it did it. I can't do that tropical upbeat bar fight American Ninja 2 music, but it's like kind of humorous music for humorous bar fight scenes. But American Ninja 2, I guess, has some kind of cool ninja stuff, but in my opinion, for the most part, it's just like Austin says, about the age thing, I definitely feel old school, still collecting Blu-ray and physical games. Most have moved on to mainly streaming movies, which I think sucks. Yeah, I was just thinking the other day, if anyone's familiar with the plan they have planned for us, where you will own nothing and you will be happy, it just occurred to me that they kind of already started that with media, because the teenagers and the 20 somethings are already kind of getting used to that you will own nothing, and this whole streaming movies and music and games or downloading and all this stuff. I mean, it is kind of like the beginning of you will own nothing, because it's like the old days of frickin' VHS, Laserdisc, DVD, Blu-ray. All of a sudden you've got generations that are coming up without a CD collection, without this kind of stuff, and it's just like, that's really scary. They're just paying companies for access to stream movies and music or whatever, and it's like, yeah. Oh, that reminds me of another movie that Beth and I watched over the weekend. She was in the room that's in the normal studio for the radio show. I've got piles of movies, VHS and stuff, and she found a VHS of the Joe Dante movie Matinee that had been sitting there for years and years and years and years. And she's like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Oh, we should watch that. That's kind of cool." So we watched that Matinee by Joe Dante movie, and that's the first time I'd seen it in such a long, probably over 10 years, and that was kind of fun. And I've subsequently, along with my Blu-ray order of Cut and Run, I ordered the Scream, I think it's Shout Select or whatever, the Shout Factory release of Blu-ray release of Matinee, because that's, having revisited it was kind of fun. Gary Page says, can't go wrong with a cheap action canon film unless it's American Ninja 3 or 4. Summerhill says, I think out of all the canon ninja movies, my favorite was Revenge of the Ninja, especially for the rooftop fight scene at the end. Yeah, that was one of the first ones I saw as a kid. This buddy of mine, Willie, he can be seen in that video on my channel by the name of Unknown Critics. We're talking about movies at the age of 12 in that video, shot on Fisher Price PXL 2000 camera. He introduced me, I think, to American Ninja, and then later on I saw Revenge of the Ninja, and those were my 2 ninja movies from my pre-teen years that I would watch over and over. So yeah, Revenge of the Ninja is classic as well. They're smuggling drugs in the dolls. It's so funny. That one blonde, when she reports back to the guy, he dropped the doll and the heroin spilled out. And what's the guy say? Like, damn it, or something. It's just so funny. Iron Rooster says, anyone ever watched the comedy Detroit Rock City from 1999? I think it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, I've seen it, but I don't own it. I can remember that. Isn't that got Edward Furlong in it? I can remember that being kind of cool. Austin says, yep, streaming is about media control, period. Yeah, like I say, it is kind of the beginning of you will own nothing and you will be happy. Kids growing up completely complacent with, you know, not owning their media, but just like being allowed to view it and hear it by being charged a monthly fee. It's like kind of scary. Iron Rooster says everyone wants everything instantly. Yeah, that's how the kids are growing up now. Gary Page says Detroit Rock City, brilliant. Summerhill says, yeah, Iron Rooster, instant gratification. Gary Page says Missing in Action was good, but the second movie was boring. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the first one. I've got the second one as well, like on Blu-ray, I think, and I can't remember the second one as much because I tend to watch the first one more, which I think it may have been Austin who schooled us weeks ago on the show by saying Missing in Action 2 was actually the first one they made and never released until they did another one, which was the first. I don't know if, I mean, I can only assume that's true. He seems to, whoever said that, I think it was Austin, seems to be well versed on the subject. It just seemed weird to me that they'd film Missing in Action, not release it, and film another one, and release that one as the first movie, and then after the success of that, release the first one they filmed as the second movie. Like, that just seems so freaking weird to me. But it wouldn't be the first time something was weird. All right, guys, just passing, we're about 32 minutes into the show here, probably another 90 minutes or 88 minutes left to go. I can go for at least 2 hours a show, I would say, and then see about hopping on the old bike and see if I can avoid grumpy old men on the trail who seem to know everything about the kind of bike I should have versus the one I've had for the last 17 years that suited me just fine, motherfucker. I mean, I'll be goddamned if I'm like that if I ever make that age. It's just like, I mean, I'm not like that now. Just telling people, oh, yeah, that's not the right bike for pavement. It's just like, well, gets me there and back, doesn't it, motherfucker? Anyway, subject change. Iron Rooster says I was going to buy the Detroit Rock City Blu-ray, but the price is outrageous. Oh, must be out of print, huh? Sometimes you just got to ignore old people. Well, people in general, I'd say. Gary Page says he's right. It's the Canon documentary about Missing in Action. Oh, it's in the Canon documentary about Missing in Action. Okay. That is just so weird to me. It's like, make this whole movie and then, oh, we don't feel confident to release it, so we'll make another one and it'll be better and we'll feel more confident to release that one first, and we'll release the second one we made as the first movie, and if that does good, we'll release the first one we made as the sequel. Wowzers. Gary Page says, why do old farts seem to know everything or think they do? Well, I will say that obviously the older you are, the more experience you have. I'm not going to say that they don't know anything, but Jesus Christ, let me ride the bike I want to ride where I want to ride it. I mean, fuck. Granted, he didn't know I've been riding it for 16, 17 years on the pavement, but I told him, I'm like, yeah, this thing's been fine for 16 years, so I think I'm good. And the other guy he was with kind of, I think, even, felt like the guy was overstepping because he's just like, you know what, just have fun. And I'm like, I'm going to take that guy's advice. I'm going to just have fun. Hope you guys were able to hear some of the sounds from outside the window on the mic. I did some tests before I started the show, and I think I could hear some of the stuff from outside the window. So if so, you can enjoy some sounds, nature sounds from outside the window on this week's show. What I'll probably do is if I end up doing, 1 p.m. Central start times during the summer, this will probably be the norm, doing it from next to the open window. So there. Once again, another lull in the chat, which always makes me a little paranoid. Like, it's interesting. Very interesting. I'm seeing 6 people here. That's probably 5, including myself. Thanks everyone for showing up today and sticking with me. Talk about nothing. Iron Rooster says, "Ever watch Jay and Silent Bob? It's another comedy." Yeah, I'm not the biggest Kevin Smith fan. Which one are you referring to, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or just referring to the characters? Yeah, I'm not the biggest Kevin Smith fan. I was, to be honest, kind of pissed when Clerks came out because me and my acquaintances were making videos and just got into shooting Super 8mm film and stuff at the time, and I was just, I mean, I could admit it, I was jealous of the success of Clerks, but I just felt like it was kind of overrated. I mean, it's fun on one aspect, but then overrated on the other. So I kind of, ever since Clerks came out, I've been kind of, I don't know how to even, yeah, I don't know how to say it. Just not the biggest Kevin Smith fan. I guess I just, yeah, we'll leave it at that. And that kind of just the crude humor isn't that amazing, but yeah. Oh gosh, Gary Page says start singing. Yeah, I don't know if I feel incredibly musical today. The one guy who hasn't been here, which is fine. I mean, you know, life comes first. Hasn't been here for a while, and Chad is. That's been so long. I don't even remember. Oh, Fake Shemp Taboo, I think, was the one who really seemed to egg on the singing. I think Gary Page as well. Yeah, I'm not. I just. Oh, another thing I just watched recently is because I watched Slumber Party Massacre. So then I felt like, well, I might as well do 2 since I'm a lucky owner of the Blu-rays of Part 2 and 3. And every time I watch Slumber Party Massacre 2, I'm like, God, there's really not a lot going on here. But the songs, the reason I thought about that is because the songs are kind of fun in it. And I thought if I wanted to find or take down the lyrics to any of those songs, those I could sing, that'd be fun. Like there's that one that the blonde is singing on the couch as she's riding it. What I want most is a pie in the sky. It's just like, okay. Iron Rooster says, "What's your opinion on the Austin Power franchise?" Yeah, same with like Jay and Silent Bob. I was never necessarily a fan of Austin Powers either. Although I can remember, I think it was in the first movie, like that one part where there's a guy in like a steamroller and a guy extends his hand and like yells like "no" or whatever, and they show his side shot and the steamroller's just moving at a very slow speed. I mean, that was kind of funny, but I don't know. I guess I'm a little, I don't know what the hell the word is when it comes to certain kinds of quote unquote comedy. In my opinion, there's all kinds of a plethora of a range of comedy, from actually funny comedy or what I would regard as actually funny comedy to stuff like, um, the Chris Farley kind of horseshit and What the hell's the name of that guy who I can't stand? Will Ferrell and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I guess the comedy movies that I like are actually really kind of old, like Trading Places and stuff with like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd and stuff in it. I mean, that just shows my age. I don't really like so much of the more recent comedy for some reason. It turned into what I call corporate comedy, where it's all like doesn't matter who the hell's making the movie, doesn't matter who the hell's the star. It like just feels the same. And then you've got all of these faces that keep popping up over and over. Like, I mean, I actually like what the hell's his name from Halloween 6, his first movie. Can't remember his name right now, but he's in the new Ghostbusters movie. I mean, I think he's a likable performer, but he's a face that's just like in everything, and you kind of get sick of even though he's a likable performer. Paul Rudd, even though he's a likable performer, it's like God, I kind of get sick of seeing Paul Rudd in everything. And there's female versions of Paul Rudd too, like that blonde and Amy something or other, and you just see him on commercials. I don't watch TV, but sometimes on a YouTube commercial or something, and it's just like. So I think comedy has kind of just, I don't know, sometime after the 80s, just been almost corporatized, and there's like these certain kind of things, and just stupid humor. I don't know how to explain it, but Iron Rooster says I'm not a big comedy fan. Yeah, I mean, for me, like after it's kind of like it started to go downhill in the 90s with Adam Sandler coming into the fray, and the other guy who purported to die, Chris Farley. I feel like the 90s, they really started to ruin comedy movies in North America with, and replace what I would regard as the greats from the 80s, which are like Dan Aykroyd, I guess to a certain extent John Belushi, although he didn't do a whole hell of a lot, and Bill Murray, and there's probably others in there like Rick Moranis and stuff. Oh, John Candy. These are the comedy faces that I grew up with, and what they got replaced with in the 90s and beyond just never did anything for me. I mean, maybe there was some guys like, as I said, I don't hate Paul Rudd. He might be my most liked guy from the more recent comedy canon or whatever, but I guess that's my thoughts on that. Austin says the comedy genre is pretty dead now. Yeah, it's just like the nasty. It just seems to be more nasty. It's like that movie I reviewed years ago. I blind buy the DVD for like $2. Office Christmas Party is a perfect example of just corporate nasty. Comedy's really become like just nasty shit, nasty quote unquote humor. If they're not doing something nasty on screen, they're talking about doing something nasty. You know. Well, yeah, I can agree with this. Gary Page says I have to watch Scrooged with Bill Murray at Christmas. Yeah, I think I just watched that with my mom last year. I don't. She says, of course, I don't know if she just doesn't remember, but she says she'd never seen it. And I'm like, okay, well, one good thing about getting old is I guess you can see a movie over and over for the first time. I mean, maybe she never saw it, but yeah, Scrooged with Bill Murray is something I saw with my dad in the theater. I mean, you know, I don't think Scrooged is amazing, but compared to what they've, what comedy movies have come out in the 90s and beyond, Scrooged is fun. And I mean, Bill Murray, I mean, come on. Iron Rooster says, do you like any Tom Cruise movies? I liked All the Right Moves and Top Gun, but that was before he got weird. I was kind of anti Tom Cruise until the first Mission Impossible. I really like him in that. That's probably my favorite Tom Cruise movie and my favorite Mission Impossible movie. Obviously, I mean, I like him in Eyes Wide Shut because I like Eyes Wide Shut. But I'd say beyond like Mission Impossible and Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know. Those are probably my two favorite Tom Cruise movies. I liked the War of the Worlds with him in it a lot more when it came out, but having revisited it recently, it's like just depressing now. I mean, I guess it was always depressing, but it just seems a lot more depressing now. Iron Rooster says 90s wasn't good for horror either, though. That's true. That's true. It's like the 90s was the transition era, I think, from the good old days of 60s, 70s, and 80s. The 90s was the transition decade into the what would become the horrible 21st century. So I kind of agree with that. Like I don't know if what was really happening in the 90s that was really even that good, to be honest. I mean, it's when I mean, I guess the first Mission Impossible was 96, but I don't hate Scream. I kind of like Scream. It's kind of like a guilty pleasure, but I mean, the 90s was the decade where George Lucas started tweaking and messing up the Star Wars trilogy. And yeah, it's just, the 90s was the decade of transition from good old days to bad new days. Austin says 90s was good for direct to video horror, but not theatrical horror. Yeah, he might have a point there. Like the good old heyday of Full Moon, Full Moon movies, distributed by Paramount Home Video. Yeah, that's probably a good point there. Austin says comedy nowadays is considered Baywatch with The Rock laugh out loud. Yeah, I blind buyed that years ago, and it was just like, oh my god, this is. I mean, some of the girls were nice to look at, but yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, what's his name? Yeah, the neighbor movies with Seth Rogen and that guy who was also in Baywatch. I can't remember his name. Yeah, comedy movies have just turned into I don't know what. Gary Page says, was Paul Rudd in a Halloween sequel? Yeah, he was in The Curse of Michael Myers, which is also known as, well, it's not really known as, but it's the sixth Halloween movie, Halloween, Curse of Michael Myers. I'm pretty sure that was his first movie. He played Tommy Doyle. Iron Rooster says, I blind bought the 90s horror movie Popcorn and really didn't like it. Yeah, I saw that back on video when it came out, and I don't think I've seen it since. I was like, oh, okay. I don't even remember anything about it, but I didn't really like it either, obviously. Buccaneer Bruce says, at Gary Page, yes, the worst one of the bunch. I don't know what he's even talking about anymore. What did Gary Page say? Was he talking about? So I wonder if Buccaneer's referring to Halloween 6 as being the worst of the bunch. Probably. Iron Rooster says that badass Halloween 6 mask is the best thing out of the 90s, laugh out loud. Yeah, that's one thing I will say about Halloween 6 is the mask was kind of cool. Austin says Full Moon and Leprechaun sequels were the golden age of direct-to-video. Yeah, Leprechaun. Wasn't Leprechaun, I don't remember, I didn't really follow it, but I want to say Leprechaun 2 was in the theater, wasn't it? Or were they everything after the first one direct to video? I gotta stand up. This chair, I'm sitting on one of these portable kind of beach chairs. And nearly 50 minutes in, I had to stand up. Iron Rooster says Leprechaun just got a remake, right? Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I don't know. Oh, I looked into someone weeks ago. I don't think it was last week. Maybe it was last week. Mentioned the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre coming out this year, and I looked into it, and apparently, see, this is what I mean. When a fad gets started, everyone's got to copy it because Halloween 2018 was this big success. So now everyone's got to do the horror sequels that are a sequel to the original movie. So apparently, and this is what Texas Chainsaw 3D was as well. Apparently, the upcoming Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I think is going to be very creatively titled The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, is going to be a sequel to the original 74 movie. And there's like, I don't know if it's supposed to take place now or back in the 70s or what, but there was, on IMDb, there's like a credit for this young chick to play Sally Hardesty. So I don't know if it's going to have like some footage that takes place back in 74 and then cut to now. I can't remember the synopsis, but I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell are they going to come up with now with the next Texas Chainsaw? But, I think I've talked about this in recent or in other shows of the past, that how cool would it be to do, the next Friday the 13th, if they followed on the bandwagon of the sequel to the original movie, have Adrienne King come back as Alice, because she didn't die, so that the thought of that is really kind of cool. Summerhill says, I enjoy the Leprechaun films. I'll have to rewatch them soon. Yeah, I can remember like the chick in the second one's kind of hot, because I got a collection that goes up to, I don't know, 5 or 6 or something on DVD, and one spring in March or whatever, me and Beth tried to do them all, and I think we only got to 3 and we just got sick of them. But I think the blonde in the second one is kind of hot. Austin says Leprechaun 1 and 2 were in theaters, the rest were direct-to-video. Okay. Austin says Texas Chainsaw 2013 was supposed to be a sequel to the 74 movie. Yeah, and it's so stupid how it's just like, okay, so it takes place now, and the baby that was at the time, that movie would have been like 39 years old, the original movie. So this baby from the 1974, 39 years later, is only 20 years old. Okay. On the gravestone, they made a point not to actually show the year that the first movie took place in, but I thought it was funny. I don't know why they couldn't have just had it take place, in 93 or something like that instead of 2013. That was just so funny. Gary Page says, I don't know where the Texas Chainsaw sequels are going. They're all over the place. Well, like I say, apparently the next one is a sequel to the original 74 movie with some young chick cast as Sally Hardesty. Like I say, I don't remember the synopsis, but it seems to me like it's going to take place contemporary times. So that could only mean to me that they're going to shoot some footage that, like I say, takes place right after the events of the first movie with the young chick as Sally, and then obviously Marilyn Burns is no longer alive to play Sally now. But yeah, I mean, the Chainsaw movies, that's the one thing I actually kind of like about the ongoing never-ending legal stuff with Friday the 13th, is that it keeps them from just dabbling in all these different stupid directions that they probably would have done, if the legal battle hadn't been going on. I just as soon have nothing Friday the 13th instead of stupid Friday the 13th. Remember, long time ago, they were this was when Paranormal Activity was doing all well and shit. For a while, there was going to be a found footage Friday the 13th. It's just like, and then there was going to be a Halloween 3D and all this shit. It's just like, oh my God. Austin says, how many Chainsaw movies do they need to make? There's nothing else you can do with it. Yeah, that's true. I'd say just leave well enough alone. Same with Friday the 13th and Freddy. Just, they've had their years, but people are greedy. Iron Rooster says Leatherface is the most recent, right? Yeah, it's just titled simply Leatherface, and it was hands down, I've reviewed it on the channel, hands down the most horrible one of them all, in my opinion. I'm not going to ruin I think they thought it was like a clever reveal, or a clever, I don't even know how to describe it, clever twist to that movie. I'm not even going to spoil it because I don't want to spoil it, but I was it was just so stupid to me. Like, I liked how the beginning of the movie was, like when it took place like years prior or something, but then the rest of the movie is just like, oh my god, it's too bad what happened with that most recent Chainsaw movie, simply titled Leatherface. Austin says, realistically, Chainsaw 4 should have been the last. Yeah, I agree. Well, in a perfect world, Chainsaw 3 probably would have been the last, because let's face it, I mean, although I like things about 4, 4 really shouldn't have really even existed either, really. Austin says Texas Chainsaw doesn't take place in 2013, though, from what I've heard, more like the mid to late 90s. Well, they didn't have iPhones. There's an iPhone in Texas Chainsaw 3D. A cop has an iPhone. They didn't have iPhones in the late 90s. So I think it took place in 2013. Gary Page says, bring Franklin and his knife back. Exactly. Unfortunately, it'd have to be recast because good old Paul Partain is no longer with us, and he doesn't have to deal with the 21st century pathetic goings on like we all do. Well, apparently Matt may have fallen in the toilet. That happens to the best of us. He said, be right back, and I haven't seen him for a while, so he ain't back. Yeah, imagine just doing a spin-off movie. Just call it Franklin, you know. Get back and push down. That can be the tagline. Come on, Sally. Come on, push. You can probably hear that plane. Yeah, that can be the tagline. Franklin, coming fall 2022. Get back and push down. If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it. Iron Rooster says, I bet many people won't know this. Have you heard of All American Massacre? It's basically a Chop Top movie from the 90s that wasn't released, even had Bill Moseley in it. Well, was that the shit? No, if it was from the 90s. Okay, cuz Bill Moseley did that tape in the 80s that got him the role of Chop Top. So okay, so that wouldn't have been that one. It would have been after he was in Chainsaw 2. Yeah, I don't know if I've heard about that or not, but I wonder why it couldn't have been released. I mean, they could put it on YouTube now. Yeah, I don't know if I heard of that or not. I know about that video he did, which got him the part in Chainsaw 2, but I don't know if I know about All American Massacre. Iron Rooster says Nate needs to track down Franklin's knife. Laugh out loud. Yeah, incidentally, since the last show, I did find that one that my grandpa had, and it's very similar, but it's not the exact same thing. Um, but it's very close to the knife that Franklin had in the original movie. It's close enough for me. It's Franklin's knife to me. Austin says if it took place in 2013, then that's ridiculous. Yeah, it did, because that one cop went into the house with his iPhone, doing like FaceTiming live video back to the other people in the cop police station, and they were watching it at the police station on their iPhones. So it definitely didn't take place in the late 90s. Isn't that funny? And every time they show like a gravestone in that movie, there's like a bush or a little weed covering up the year um, of I think the year of when the original movie took place. It's got like August 15th or whatever, 19 or something, and then like you can't see the last two digits of the year. It's pretty funny. Iron Rooster says, you sound just like Franklin. Laugh out loud. Thank you. Come along, Franklin. It's going to be a fun trip. If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it. There used to be a trail down between them two old sheds. Jerry and Sally going? Yeah. See in about an hour or so. Iron Rooster says, just look up All American Massacre whenever you get a chance. Okay. That's a good suggestion. Thank you very much. All right, everyone. We're about an hour into the show at this point. I can probably go another hour, and then I'm probably going to get out on the trail and see if I can meet up with old farts who tell me what the fuck to do and what bike to ride and how to live my fucking life. I got to stand up. Again, this chair is not good for long. Why don't I just move this chair? It's not good for long sits. They don't do it that way anymore. Now they got this big air gun that shoots a bolt into their skull and then retracts it. It's just boom, shot, and go boom, shot, boom, shot, boom, shot. That's all it is. Oh, it's hot in here. Iron Rooster says, ha, ha, ha. You think that guy trying to follow us? I mean, there's no way he could follow us. Probably afraid Kirk will kill him. Sally? Nothing. Never mind. Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm surprised there hasn't been. Well, of course there may be, and I just haven't heard about it. But I'm surprised there isn't like a fan film or some kind of just separate movie. Now, the more I think about it, it'd be cool to just make a fan film or a tribute film. Just call it Franklin. Get back and push down. That's probably Franklin's most famous line. Come on, push. Sally, they took the keys. We don't have any keys. Iron Rooster says, I may have mentioned this before. Let's see. He says, you heard of the Night Killer from like 1990, but it was advertised as Chainsaw Massacre 3. Yeah, I've never heard of the Night Killer advertised as Chainsaw Massacre 3. You know what occurred to me? Because I just rewatched Chainsaw Massacre 3 a while back, and it occurred to me, I think me and Dad saw that. Remember that really cool teaser that's like a ripoff of Excalibur, where the saw comes out of the lake and this where does it come out of? It comes out of the lake and Leatherface catches it and turns around. Like, I think me and Dad saw that teaser when we saw Halloween 5 at the theater. I'm pretty sure I saw that teaser in the trailer, and I was like, teaser in the theater. And I was like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I still think that's an awesome teaser. I think Jeff Burr even saw that teaser. The guy who would end up directing the movie saw that and was like, I want to see it. And he ended up making the movie. But I haven't heard of The Night Killer. Gary Page says, just bought Night Killer. It's so bad it's good. Okay. Iron Rooster says the lead female is beautiful in apparently The Night Killer. Gary Page says she's the mom from Silent Night, Deadly Night. Oh, really? Wow. She's in something else, huh? Yeah, I think Matt left us. Did he take the keys? Matt took the keys. We don't have any keys. Yeah, just standing up at this point because that portable chair just isn't good for long-term sit. Oh. Buccaneer Bruce says, I was an extra for the TV movie The Day After Tomorrow. Okay, where was that filmed? That's cool. Gary Page said maybe Matt, I can only assume you mean Matt's gone for pizza. A little early, but I guess anytime's good time for pizza. Buccaneer Bruce says in and around Kansas City. Okay, that's cool. Is that like based on the movie then, or the same kind of thing, or a different thing? He says mostly Lawrence, Kansas, home of KU. I-70. Well, once again, thanks everyone for showing up to the show. Appreciate it. As I said, started this week 1 p.m. Central because the weather forecast was, well, it is really windy, which is not that great for biking, but it turned out to be like nothing but blue sky. So after the show, I'll probably, as I keep on saying, very OCD-ishly, I'll probably end up hopping onto the bike and heading out to the trail and probably just doing half of what I did last week because, as I've said, I overdid it last week. Buccaneer Bruce says it was a 1983 nuclear war TV movie with Jason Robards. So was it made in 83 or took place in 83? Oh, back to Franklin. Since last week's show, I actually looked up on eBay Paul Partain autograph, and holy shit, there's some guy who's got like two of them. He's got the one I've got where he's got the signed autograph of piston in the can, and then there was another version where it's like he's holding up his arms and showing like where he's got, I don't know if during the movie he scraped up his arms or something, and he's like smiling and showing his scraped up arms. But they're like I wanted like $300 or something for each one, and it's like there were like all kinds of like, I don't know, at least 10 people watching. I was just like, holy shit! Back when I got the Paul Partain autograph from Tim Harden's website, I think in the early 2000s, and it was probably just $20, or I don't remember what it was. Well, it wasn't no $300. So Paul Partain autograph might be a more rarity, which I'll have to hang on to my cherished Paul Partain autograph. Buccaneer Bruce says, sorry, it was just called The Day After. Oh, okay. It was filmed in late 82 when I was 10 years old. Yeah, okay. A Day After sounds more familiar. I don't know if I've seen it, though, but, well, that's cool. Can you see yourself? Do you have it on tape or DVD or something? Can you see yourself in it and say, there I am? Iron Rooster says it would be cool to visit filming locations for Chainsaw Massacre. I know me and a buddy of mine were just crazy fans of the original movie, and we had actually dreamed about taking a trip down there and doing that. Of course now, I mean, shit, I don't think I'd bother with it necessarily now because stuff must have changed so much. But back in like the early 2000s, we were like, that'd be so cool. We were almost halfway contemplating doing it, but we never did. Buccaneer says it also starred Jo Beth Williams and Steve Guttenberg. I do have the DVD, and yes, I have seen myself in it. Laugh out loud. Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I met up with a couple of girls in the what the hell was it? Yeah, it must have been the late 90s who wanted to be in videos and did some videos with them. And they were extras in whatchamacallit, what the hell was it called with um let's see here. It was originally called Dairy Queens, but then they changed the title to, was it Drop Dead Gorgeous with Denise Richards and people in it. I mean, they've got actually like a two shot. You know, they were friends and they were both extras in that movie. And it's like they got like, it seems like they got a shot where it was just the two of them in it, like really pretty decent shot. And then some guy who had been in one of the Super 8mm movies I did in the 90s was an extra on Feeling Minnesota, and was right in the scene where Cameron Diaz and who's that other guy? The Vincent D'Onofrio were cutting the cake. He's like holding a beer. He's like right at the party of the wedding or whatever, right there. It's just like, wow, that's really cool. Iron Rooster says, I'm not a big autograph guy. I think I have a French lobby card with C.J. Graham's autograph. Not sure if it's real. Yeah, I mean, I don't really care about autographs either. When I've gotten them, I mean, it was just, I don't know, it's more obscure stuff like, I mean, Paul Partain and Adrian King and stuff like that. But I've got very few autographs myself. I don't really seek them out. You know, that's that Friday the 13th limited edition 1 through 6 CD soundtrack collection. I mean, it was just kind of a bonus that I happened to find an autograph version on eBay, you know. Austin says, wasn't Chainsaw 2 released in theaters unrated? I think I might have heard something like that, which would have been really something that doesn't happen very often. I can't confirm that though, but I want to say that might be correct. Iron Rooster says, yeah, I think the house was moved, referring to Texas Chainsaw, the original. Yeah, the house was in fact moved. I know that for sure. It's hard to say if the gas station would even be there in any capacity these days. I don't keep up on it anymore because, you know, I don't really need to go down there and look at the shit anymore. But it was, as a young 20-something, I was thinking about it. Buccaneer Bruce says the Chainsaw filming locations haven't changed a lot except the highway that's still around but abandoned. Okay. Summerhill says, gotta run. Have a great week, everyone. Thanks again for showing up, Summerhill. We'll see you next time. Iron Rooster says, see ya, Summerhill. Buccaneer Bruce says, the gas station is around the house is a restaurant. Yeah, okay, so the gas station is still there. That's cool. I guess, you know, having the buddy in the early 2000s that wanted to go see the Chainsaw locations at the time as well, kind of, you know, when someone else wants to as well, it kind of makes you want to do it all the more. But oh well, I can look at the filming locations in the movie. That's the way I look at it. Iron Rooster says, you want to go eat a barbecue sandwich from that store in Texas. It's got a special ingredient in it. Laugh out loud. Yeah, the barbecue. Got us some barbecue. Yep. I want to get some barbecue. I wonder if at any point that place, you know, the gas station, ever did anything like that, like chainsaw themed, quote unquote, barbecue. Or I mean, that just would have been kind of cool, but kind of maybe gross at the same time. If they ever did any chainsaw themed anything, or, you know, seems like such a kind of a waste to like own that gas station and not do any, you know, they got to have some nod to the fact that it was in that movie, you think, even if it's in a small way, you know. Buccaneer Bruce says, my girlfriend has gone with me to all those type of filming locations. That's cool. Iron Rooster says, I bet they have, probably referring to that gas station doing some kind of chainsaw branded something or other gimmick, sell something. I hope they have. It'd be kind of fun to sell barbecue out of that gas station. Austin says Chainsaw remake was okay, but you can't top the 74 film. Yeah, I mean, it's when the 74 movie is like watching it really happen, whereas the remake is watching Hollywood's account of it happening. It's just like so different. I mean, it's like just it's so Hollywood, that the remake, and the original is like, oh my god, like this is happening in front of my face. This is really happening. All right, guys, probably about 45 more minutes of show left as we just past the hour and 15-minute mark. Well, now we're pretty much hour and 16 minutes into the show. That bike trail is calling my name. Well, Matt, hope you're okay out there with your Be Right Back. Hope all's okay in Matt's world. Yeah, I just rewatched Chainsaw, I think within the past week since the last show, and I haven't watched it in a while, and man, that's great. Iron Rooster says, what do you think of Texas Chainsaw Next Generation? So my take on that is, I'm pretty sure back when I was doing reviews with the guy, Matt, who I started the channel with, we reviewed all of the Chainsaw movies up until the prequel to the remake. And, my thought about Chainsaw 4, aka Next Generation, is I like aspects about it, and those aspects are for the very first time since the original movie, Chainsaw 4 captured that low budget feeling for me, and I really like that low budget aspect to it, and so that I really like about it. But as far as being like a chainsaw movie, and I mentioned in my review of it from way back when that, I mean, to call it Texas Chainsaw Massacre when the chainsaw blade doesn't even touch anyone at all, let alone massacre them, it's kind of a cheat. I think it's the only Chainsaw Massacre movie where where the chainsaw blade never touched anyone. So that's a big problem to me. It's it's in the title, Chainsaw Massacre. It's like doing if you did Debbie Does Dallas and then she just kept her pants on the whole movie. It's kind of misleading. So that was an aspect to it I didn't like. I'm not crazy about the guy who played Leatherface and that whole crap at the end about, the guy with the piercings or whatever the hell's in the suit, whatever the hell's going on with that guy. But the things I like about Chainsaw 4 is the low budget aspect of it, which really shines through the production. It really shows in the finished movie, but it kind of pales being like a quote unquote chainsaw movie. It's like making a Chainsaw Massacre movie for TV, because, as I said, the blade doesn't touch anyone. The chainsaw doesn't touch anyone. Mr. Tight White's here. He says, I love Chainsaw the beginning, which was part 6. Yeah, I liked actually the prequel to the remake more than the remake itself. I always thought that as well. I can't say I love it, but out of the remake and the prequel, I prefer the prequel to the remake. Iron Rooster says it was supposed to be called Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, and incidentally, I actually like that title more because it doesn't make you think of Star Trek. But I think distributors and stuff probably were like, well, you got to have Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, otherwise they're never going to find it in the video stores if you call it Return of. But I like Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, I think on the Elite Entertainment release, Laserdisc release of the first movie from like 96 or 97, they've got the trailer for Chainsaw 4. It's a really, really rough trailer, and it says Return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I like that title more. Iron Rooster says, I have 2 VHS tapes where it's called The Return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Well, that's cool. He says it's funny Matthew McConaughey was in it. Yeah, don't forget Renee Zellweger. Gary Page says the Chainsaw was the first. Texas Chainsaw Massacre was first put on Super 8 in the late 70s by a UK company called Duran Films. It made a ton of money, and Duran ended up sending money back to the Chainsaw Massacre production because they lost money. Well, if that's true, that was nice of them. Yeah, because like the people who actually made the movie and were in the movie like saw like dick. They didn't get any money at all. Oh well, except maybe a couple $100. Isn't that just a shame? That's a shame. It is a shame about I think I mentioned it in my review of that most recent 4K restoration of Chainsaw Blu-ray, that it's just a shame that even that release isn't without like screw ups. Like I think I talk about it in the review, but like at the very beginning of the movie when he's taking pictures of the corpses and stuff, like it's not the biggest thing, but it's kind of frustrating to a longtime fan. There's one of those flashes, because the flashes are supposed to like appear and then kind of fade out and appear and kind of fade out, and I think it's like the third or fourth one. It appears and then just cuts to black. Like they must have. It's just so frustrating every time I watch the most recent Blu-ray. So I can only assume like that part of the film had been damaged since the last time they'd scanned it. I don't know why the hell that happens. And then some of the sound is screwed up. Like at the very end, Sally's laugh is like screwed up, and it's just like, well, I don't understand how if they're trying to do like this amazing 4K quote unquote restoration, why things have to end up that are screwed up like that. It's just pisses me off. Granted, most people who aren't crazy familiar with that movie like I am aren't going to even notice those problems, but that doesn't mean they're not there. It's just like such a bummer. It's interesting how today there'll be like just these long legs of nothing said in chat. It just always makes me panic and wonder, are we still alive? But I'm sure we are. It's just no one has anything to say. Austin says, sounds like I should stay with my Steelbook DVD of Texas Chainsaw 1. That sounds bad. Yeah, if you've got that, is that a Pioneer release? If you've got that, that's probably the last truly un-effed up version of Chainsaw that was ever on disc. I can't remember what the first, I think, seems like the sound was screwed up on that first Blu-ray, which was probably just an upscale of standard definition. But yeah, like the first DVDs that were put out of Chainsaw is the last way you can hear like all the sound unscrewed up all the way through from start to finish. Granted, the sound is mostly fine, but I just hate those spots that are screwed up on like the most recent Blu-ray. And of course, like I say, that one shot of taking the pictures at the beginning is screwed up. Granted, it's just a fraction of a second, but still, these things aren't supposed to be like that. So, oh right, oh okay, right, okay, Dark Sky. Yeah, it's hard to say what version that is. Yeah, Dark Sky is who own the home video rights to it now. Yeah, I can't say what the hell version that is actually. Well, hopefully that's it. Oh, I think yeah. That one might not be without its problems, but I haven't seen that one in a while. I can only assume that's the same one that was put out on the first Blu-ray. after the 4K Blu-ray came out, I looked at the first Blu-ray they put out, and I'm sure that the first Blu-ray is just an upscale to standard definition. Yeah, I guess I can't comment on which version you've got there. Dark Sky might be a problem. I don't know. Who knows? I don't want to make you panic, but the problem with the 4K Blu-ray or the restoration is that it looks so good when it's right. I guess, like I say, my complaints with it are just fractions of seconds of the overall movie, but every time they happen, it's just like, ah. I don't think I read this. I skipped over it. Iron Rooster says, "We still live, Franklin." I don't know what that means. Or maybe he meant love. We still love Franklin. Iron Rooster says, "When is Friday Part 2 Steelbook getting released?" Oh, it's out. It's been out for a while. I saw it at a store, which will go unnamed. It's been out, but again, I'm not going to get it because the Roman numerals is screwed up on it. It's too skinny. It just bugs me. It just bugs me. Otherwise, I'd get it. Iron Rooster says a Friday Part 8 Steelbook with that artwork would be cool. Yeah, if they fix the Roman numeral 2 on the cover of the Part 2, it'd be cool. Like I say, it'll be interesting to see if the world even makes it to the 40th anniversary of the release of New Beginning and see what cover they give us. Hopefully it'll be the North American home video goofy hockey mask with the glowing red eyes thing. Gary Page says it's the Dark Sky 4K scan here as well. Yeah, over the years with different releases of Chainsaw, there have been so many things that have been screwed up with the audio. Granted, there were little things that just maybe one thing here or there. Like I think one of the releases, one of the soundtracks, has like the first hit of Kirk in the head, and then the second sledgehammer impact is not even there at all. I mean, these are huge problems in my opinion. And it's just a bummer that Chainsaw over the years has been plagued with sound issues. That's because they felt like in the 90s they had to make stereo surround it, and from then on in, we never got a fully truly mono version of it again. Like I think the mono version of any of the Chainsaw on disc that have come out since the stereo surround was made is just like a down mix of stereo surround. And if you know anything about doing that, that means that's not original mono. That's just down mixing the stereo surround, which means you're not going to hear stuff that takes place in the rear. It's not original mono. So there's actually never, I don't think, been on DVD the original Chainsaw movie on DVD with the original mono, truly original. But feel free to, if anyone's listening now or after the fact, to check out my review of the 4K Blu-ray of Chainsaw that came out in, was it 2013? And I show on screen, how the sound should be in certain areas, and then how it is in this version. And I can't remember what else I showed. But granted, the anomalies are few and far between. But on a 40th anniversary restoration of a movie, there shouldn't be any anomalies. Austin says, I don't recall seeing those problems on the Steelbook DVD. It's a bit older. Yeah, with any luck, they might not be on that DVD. Iron Rooster says, I like the white hockey mask artwork from A New Beginning. Yeah, I think everyone does. So hopefully that'll be on the Steelbook. He says, I would buy a Steelbook for A New Beginning with that artwork. Yeah, probably same here. The only thing that sucks now that I that I don't like that Part 2 Steelbook is if I like the ones that they do for 3, 4, 5, and 6 and stuff like that. It's just like then you've got all of them, but the second one is just be like OCD massacre. Austin says it's not as screwed up as Chainsaw Texas One sound. Oh man, I don't even know what he's referring to anymore. His Steelbook DVD maybe. Austin says Terminator 1 looks too teal now in some scenes. Yeah, I don't watch that very often. Yeah, I hate when they change tints and stuff like that. All right, everyone, about 30 or 90 minutes into the show, probably about 30 minutes left of the show. So enjoy this last 30 minutes while you've got them. Then I'll be hitting the bike trail. Well, it's not just a bike trail, it's a trail for whatever, but I'm going to bike on that trail for whatever. Mr. Tight White says, I found that Dark Sky Steelbook release at Goodwill last week. The bonus disc has 180 minutes of content. Well, that's cool. Oh, okay. Austin says, I was talking about Terminator 1 sound. Oh, okay. Yeah. T1 is what. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. Chainsaw, none of the Chainsaw DVDs or Blu rays or anything close to what the remix for Terminator 1 was with their 5.1, where they replaced sound effects and gunshots. And yeah, as much as I'm bitching about the Chainsaw Massacre 1 sound, it's nothing compared to completely redoing sound effects and stuff. Oh my God. What a bummer. I don't agree with that at all. Unless, of course, you have an option to listen to the sound as it was originally, created and how it originally sounded. I don't have a problem. I've said this before with, redoing and retinkering with the sound. But if you do that, you always have to, in my opinion, offer the original, either mono or original stereo or however it was originally made as a listening option. Austin says T2 never remixed sound effects. That's because it was like, I'm not actually 100% sure about that, but if they did, you can barely tell or you can't tell at all. But that's because that sound from day one was just a revolutionary freaking soundtrack. Austin says RoboCop still sounds the same. Yeah, I think the reason they added so much to that first Terminator is just because it was kind of a low budget movie and stuff. So Iron Rooster says, do you think we will ever get another Dawn of the Dead Blu-ray release in the US? Yeah, I'm not very familiar with that movie as far as the releases it's gotten, so I really don't know. I can only assume like it's like out of print and unavailable for a reasonable price on Blu-ray. That's a movie that I used to like a lot more than I like now. I'm kind of over my Night of the Living Dead / dead, just zombie movie kind of stuff because I don't know. I guess that TV show ruined zombies for me. When something becomes so mainstream, it kind of ruins it. I might have gotten sick of zombies anyway. I mean, they don't hold my attention very long. So I guess I can't comment on that. One can only hope for fans of Dawn of the Dead. I can only assume you're talking about the original. Yeah, Iron Rooster says Fulci Zombie is better than Dawn of the Dead. I mean, I'd probably rather watch that than Dawn of the Dead. I mean, Dawn of the Dead, I do like what it does with the, little, whatchamacallit, social commentary on people's dependence on the shopping mall, a new thing at the time. But I'd probably rather watch Zombie than Dawn of the Dead. Mr. Tight White says, I did my first StreamYard Let's Talk Horror Movies and Drink Beer live stream last Sunday. If any of you are not busy, I'm doing another this Saturday at 7 p.m. If you are not sure, you can join the stream too. Well, thanks for letting us know. I might be busy, otherwise I'd probably show up for a minute, but maybe next time I can stop on by. But thanks for mentioning that, and congrats on your first show. Let's Talk Movies and Drink Beer live show. And anyone listening now or after the fact, feel free to mark that on your calendar. Iron Rooster says, yeah, zombies have gotten big recently. Yeah, with that all those TV shows and shit, which I won't mention the title of it. Yeah, it's just when something becomes so mainstream and crap, it kind of ruins it for me. It's just like, ugh, I don't like it anymore. Mr. Tight White says, yeah, I will be doing them every Saturday. Okay, well, maybe I can show up and chat for one of them. At some time. Congrats on starting that show. Iron Rooster says, I admit I like the first season of the blah blah blah. That's cool. Yeah, from what I understand, it starts off cool and gets bad, but I've got no interest in it. That's just me. Iron Rooster says, cool, Mr. Tight White, as he's shamelessly plugging his own live stream show weekly. It sounds like it's becoming a weekly thing. Yep, it's way too nice to be sitting inside doing this, but I've only got like 20 something minutes left, and then I'll be out on that trail under the blue sky. Iron Rooster says, laugh out loud. Yeah, it's been like blue sky, nothing but sun since I started the show. I think actually looking at it makes me suffer more than not looking at it, but it's okay. I'll be out under it soon. Austin says, it's not nice outside at my house. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And I think I can even remember where the hell Austin is. He's in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. It's easy to remember because of I just have to think of Samantha Mathis and shit. I can't remember that other guy's name who used to be big and then, well, anyway, the John Woo movie. Why can't I think of his name? Pump Up the Volume, starring shit. Oh well. Why can't I think? Oh my God, Christian. Okay, Austin saved me. He said Christian Slater. Iron Rooster says, you got any movies planned to watch this weekend? Well, here's the thing. I'm hoping to go to the drive-in theater on Saturday. It's supposed to be like 80. So, they're playing Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat. So I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to do that with Beth. So with any luck, that'll happen. Beyond that, I don't know. Sometimes I plan stuff to watch. Sometimes I don't. Like if I see Beth on the weekend, like I'll have a lot of times a pile of movies that I feel like maybe showing her or something like that, and we can pick through them. I don't think I'm ever going to let her know that Basket Case 2 and 3 exist. I showed her the first one, but I don't think I want her to even know about 2 and 3 because, well, I don't really want to watch them myself. And I really think that Basket basket case at the end of the day never really should have had sequels. Gary Page says, quick, talk Friday the 13th. Okay. Once upon a time, there was this movie called Friday the 13th. It came out in 1980. It was a really big hit. It actually surpassed Stanley Kubrick's movie The Shining. That was much more renowned and much more better. But it was a slasher movie that was made for cheap. It was made with Shaughnessy Cunningham, Harry Made for Amy Steele. They're not Amy Steele, Adrian King. Austin says Warner isn't making the archive collection blues anymore. That sucks. Why not? Not enough people buying them? Iron Rooster says, yeah, I want to see Mortal Kombat. I mean, granted, it's never anything I'd have any interest in seeing on its own, but I'll see it at a double feature with another movie that I want to see a little more than that. But like I said in the past, things that I'll see things at the drive-in that I'd never see in any other venue just because I'm there, mostly for the drive-in theater experience. Austin says Basket Case 2 and 3 were okay. The first is superior. Yeah, I agree there. Well, I agree about the first being superior. I mean, I guess there's certain goofy things about 2 and 3 that are fun, I guess. Iron Rooster says the basket case humping scene will scar you, laugh out loud. Yeah, that's another reason I don't want to show her 2 or 3, because you got to see it. Even if you just watch either just 1 or just 2 or 3, you got to see it because they show it in both of them. Yeah, the Belial and Eve sex scenes are enough to scar you for life. I want to save Beth from seeing that, because she might end up in the nut house. Austin says the Synapse Blu-rays for Basket Case 2 and 3 look excellent, though. Yeah, I've got the third one, and I'll agree. They look great anyway. Iron Roosters says that was a weird-ass scene. Yeah, it's just Frank Henenlotter just being nasty like he loves to do so much. Austin says Iron Rooster, the scene is epic. Or that scene is epic. To each their own. Iron Rooster says it's definitely memorable. Austin says, oh yes, even more mutant humping in 2 and 3, laugh out loud. Yeah, if you want to see your mutants humping, watch Basket Case 2 or 3. Well, 3, I guess you can see the humping and the birth of the Belial babies. Iron Rooster says, have you watched The Black Cat? It's a Fulci film. I have. I got the DVD for like really cheap years ago. I only watched it once, though. I guess I can't really remember much about it. I don't think it left that much of an impression on me, but I've seen it at least once. Austin says the birth scene in part 3 is ridiculous. Yeah, in Basket Case 3, the baby Belial birth scene. That's for sure. It's just Frank Henenlotter being Frank Henenlotter, I guess. Yep, Beth will never know that Basket Case 2 and 3 exist if I have my way. Austin says Belial has a power loader in part 3 as well. Laugh out loud. Absurd, but it's awesome. Yeah, I referred to that. I want to say they referred to it possibly in like a Fangoria as Mecca Belial. I always referred to it as Mecca Belial, and I actually like that. That's one thing I actually like about 3 is the Mecca Belial part, even though it's kind of lame at the same time. All right, everyone. T minus 15 minutes and counting till I can get the hell outside. Pardon me. Until shows end. And if you're not busy on Saturday, feel free to head over to Mr. Tight White's channel for what he calls StreamYard. Let's talk horror movies and drink beer live. I will hopefully be busy, with any luck, going to the drive-in theater early to get a good spot. Basically, if you go to the drive-in theater, it starts like, we go there at like 3 in the afternoon. We're obsessed about like being the first one there and the first one in and stuff. We're obsessed, but it kind of makes the drive-in. It's almost like it almost makes it a 12-hour experience. Like, how many hours? Yeah, like 9 or 10 hour experience that eats away the majority of the day the way we do it. We like to be close to first in because we've got a spot that we claim as our own. Austin says, you now have 15 minutes to reach minimum safe distance. Yep. I saw Twister and Eraser at a drive-in. That'd be funny to see Twister at a drive-in because there's a scene in Twister where they're at the drive-in. That'd be funny. Yeah, I didn't see either of those at the drive-in. I saw Mission Impossible from that summer at the drive-in. Showed my dad Mission Impossible. It'd be fun to see Twister at the drive-in with the drive-in scene, or Drive-In Massacre at the drive-in. Well, I can only assume this method of doing a Wi-Fi show with laptop Wi-Fi actually worked. I don't know if the sound is any different or any worse or anything because of the wireless way of doing it versus Ethernet cable. Austin says, I saw Independence Day in the theater and its sequel 20 years later. Yeah, I saw both of them at the drive-in as well. Yeah, I don't think I ever talked about the Independence Day sequel, which I thought was more or less a disaster. Iron Rooster says, anyone seen the Fulci film Murder Rock? I can't say I have or even heard of that one. Gary Page says, Drive-In Massacre. Now that's a classic. Yeah, I don't know when I mentioned it. Might have been last week. I don't think you were here because I started late. I think I mentioned that I just rewatched that again, and oh my god, that's really crap. It's just like some movies I don't know, you like more when you're younger and they just don't hold up. But I mean, it's still fun for goofy stupidness. But oh my god, I think I said last week that Drive-In Massacre is like the whole thing is filler. There's like 5 minutes of fun kills at the drive-in, and everything else is filler, just to achieve the maximum required running time. Gary Page says grade Z. Yeah, or even maybe what letter comes after Z, that might be more appropriate. But I agree with grade Z. It's like, holy Hannah. Austin says Resurgence really sucked. but yet it's fun to watch in a strange way, laugh out loud. It ruined any chance of part three because they had a lot more planned. I know they were all whatchamacallit sure of its success, and they're just so blatantly setting up the third movie in Independence Day 2 or Independence Day Resurgence, and it's just like, oh my god. Iron Rooster says, ever watched Microwave Massacre laugh out loud? Yeah, I have. And they were streaming the Arrow scan, I think, on Prime for a while. I don't know if they still are, but a buddy of mine was a fan of it and had the VHS, I think, or DVD, I can't remember. But I never really was a fan of it. I rewatched it along like a couple of years ago when it was on Prime, like the Arrow scan. And yeah, I can't say I'm a fan of it, you know. It's one of those bad movies that I just can't get into. And Gary Page says, Iron Rooster, yes, with enthusiasm regarding Microwave Massacre. Yeah, it's funny how, I really go in for, there's certain just Z-grade horror movies I really go in for, and then there's certain Z-grade movies I just don't. It's just weird. Iron Rooster says, yeah, same, Nate. Yeah, I wonder what it is. I mean, I guess thinking about Microwave Massacre right now, the guy who's like the star of it is, I don't know. I don't know if everyone needs to be some kind of attractive model in a movie, but he's really not a lot to, he's kind of gross to look at. And I don't know. Maybe we'll just leave it at that. That doesn't help. Gary Page says some of the gore was good in Drive-In Massacre. Yeah, see, my problem with Drive-In Massacre is they did it absolutely backwards, where, in my opinion, the first drive-in kill was like the best one. Like, you don't want to do the best one first. You save that for last. So in my opinion, the kills in Drive-In Massacre were done completely reverse, where the best one was first, and then the one that happens like last in the movie is just the stupidest. Like, they get worse as the movie progresses, and I guess in my opinion it's the opposite of what you should do. They should get more grand and fun, or if they're gonna, if the kills are gonna vary in any way, you want them to get better or better yet, just have each one be amazing. But yeah, the you can pretty much stop watching Drive-In Massacre after the first classic decapitation where the guy's reaching for the drive-in speaker. You've seen the best of the movie after that scene. Well, I guess not really, but anyway, I'm going on and on, but I agree. It's some of the gore was good, and the double kill with the double impalement, and going to the concession stand or going to the bathroom and coming back and gonna leave and the girlfriend's head falls off. It's there's some dumb fun in there. Iron Rooster says, what's your favorite movie that you have watched at the drive-in? Oh, I've watched so much stuff at the drive-in, I can't even. Yeah, there's no way to. I mean, counting my whole life, there's no way to answer that question. I've just watched so much to even remember. Thanks for asking, though, but I have no idea. I don't know. The drive-in theater experience for me has been more about the experience, really, than the movies. Yeah. Rooster says that's a tough one. Yeah, and once again, I've seen so much stuff over the years. I can remember seeing, with my dad, Batman 1989. That was really kind of crappy at the drive-in because it's so dark. The movie is just dark by itself, and then seeing it at a drive-in always makes a dark movie, anything dark, it's going to be darker at a drive-in because the bulb is only so bright, and that light has to go such a long ways from the projector to that huge screen. But I can remember seeing, Batman 1989 and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and like I said, as a scared 11-year-old in the back seat, my dad watched a little bit of Phantasm 2. It was probably the second movie playing after something that we both went there to see, and he left before not long into it, and I was just like, at least I saw some of Phantasm 2 at the drive-in. But yeah, there's just way too many to name to really answer that question. I can remember seeing Aliens with my dad at the theater. Predator. I talked about this before in the 80s. I was too young and squeamish to really watch these movies, but I watched some of it. All right, guys, T-minus 5 minutes and counting to reach minimum safe distance. Well, once again, thanks everyone. This is the time of the show where the chat gets really slow. Thanks everyone for showing up. I think pretty much Rooster and Austin and maybe Gary Page have been with us more or less the whole show. Thank you very much for showing up and once again being part of the show. Rooster says, any movie suggestion I should watch before next Thursday? Something I might not have watched, or preferably laugh out loud. Well, the problem is I don't know what you've watched. I guess I could just suggest stuff, and if you've seen it, you've seen it, and if you haven't, you haven't. You're the one who recently got The Forest, right? Recently saw The Forest, I think. Yeah, I don't know. On the spot questions are kind of difficult. I really don't know. I mean, I can only assume you've seen Basket Case. I would recommend seeing Basket Case. I'm sure you have. I guess my mind's kind of on the outdoors and the trail right now. Rooster says, yeah, just got it. I think referring to The Forest. And once again, yeah, he says, yeah, that's a tough one. Again, laugh out loud. And again, I don't know what you've seen either. So, but, well, yeah, here's a good one. Crack open your Blu-ray of Doom Asylum. Let me know next week what you think of it. If you think it's as bad as I do, watch that Doom Asylum Blu-ray. There's a suggestion. Rooster says, ha, 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 I may do that. Yeah. I mean, one thing I can say for that movie is it's got some hot chicks in it, so watch it for that. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what you think about that movie. So maybe that'll be my recommendation. I mean, you've talked about it, weeks and weeks ago. You said you have it and it's unopened. You haven't watched it. I mean, watch the mother. And let us know what you think of it. You can let me know if I'm being too harsh on it. Gary Page says, okay, Nate, enjoy the bike ride. See y'all when it's another early show. Yep. See you on the next early show, Gary. Iron Rooster says 10 to midnight with Bronson is a good one, but it may not blow you away though. Yeah, I don't know if that's on Tubi or YouTube or somewhere where I can see it free. I guess I'm kind of a cheap bastard about seeing recommendations, but I know you keep mentioning that, and I appreciate it. Perhaps one day I'll come across 10 to midnight and let everyone know what I think about it. All right, everyone. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Well, it's like 50 seconds at this point. Once again, thanks everyone for showing up. I can only assume this Wi-Fi wireless radio show thing worked worked out. No one was really complaining about it. Once again, I hope Matt's okay. He said be right back nearly 2 hours ago and never returned. So I hope he didn't visit the Doom Asylum. Iron Rooster says it won't blow you away. It won't blow you away. Laugh out loud. It's just a cool Bronson movie. Enjoy the bike ride. All right. Thanks a lot for the suggestion and the bike ride wishes. All right, everyone. I see 2 hours on my counter. Thank you very much for showing up, and we will definitely catch you on the next one.